Hello, I'm Chrissie of Chrissie Crafts. Come and see what's on my hook, what's in my hoop, and what's happening here at home. So welcome, I'm Chrissie. I'm a crafts teacher, mainly crochet and embroidery. I live in the south of England with my British husband and our two daughters, aged 13 and 7. The purpose of these videos is to share some tips and finish some whips. I have far too many whips for my own good, and I'm hoping that by sharing some of them with you, it will spur me on to accomplish things and to finish them and get on to the next project I'm desperate to start. So to that end, let's talk about crochet. I love teaching crochet. I love sharing the joy of crochet. I run a couple crochet clubs, and this is one of my favorite projects to share. It's the Seed Stitch Infinity Scarf. I have the pattern on my blog, and I'll share all the details at the end with you, and they'll also be on the show notes down below. I created this pattern for my beginner students. I wanted something quick and easy, but that didn't just look like a beginner pattern. And to me, the seed stitch has such a lovely texture to it. It's so beautiful and looks complicated, but it is crazy easy. So for this scarf, again, the pattern's on my blog, but I chained 27 to begin with. And all the seed stitch is you start at that beginning chain and alternate double crochet, treble crochet, double crochet, treble crochet. And then at the end of the chain, you turn it around. And if you end with a treble, you put a double on top, and then treble, and then double, so you alternate. And in US terms, it's a single crochet, then a double crochet, single and double, turn it around, and above the opposite, double, single, double, single. I did put the US and UK terms on the pattern on my blog. I'm bilingual living here in England. I can do English and American. So I hope that's helpful. One of the things I discovered when I was crocheting this is the different textures you can get with different size yarn and hook. I have a friend who wanted to make one of these scarves for a friend of hers and just needed a little bit of help to get started. So I thought one of the easiest ways to teach is to just use larger yarn and a larger hook. And it just so happened I had a ball of Louisa Harding Untitled Grande in the most beautiful palette of pinks and grays and cream. And I thought, well, actually, didn't have a plan for this yet, so I thought I'll just take a ball of this because I have two balls, and I'll just show her how to get started. And I grabbed the first chunky hook, and it was an 8mm, and I thought, fair enough, that'll show her very big how to do the stitches. So we chained, and then I started. You can see it's quite open and quite lacy. And then I showed her a few more rows. And I thought, ooh, this looks pretty. And then I showed her a few more rows. And then I just thought, you know what, I'm committing myself to this. I'm committing myself to this. I'm going to make a scarf. So another whip was born. Because, you know, I need another one. But look at this. Look at the colors of that. How they change. Variegated yarn is fantastic because it looks like you've done more work than you have just because the color changes. So even with the simplest of patterns, looks like a lot more effort was done. So the interesting thing though is the fact that this is with an 8mm hook and a chunky yarn and the same pattern. It looks different. I mean, it's just like a different option for it. And I love that you can take patterns and with thicker yarn or with finer yarn get a very different looking piece of work. And this is, look, I'm only on like half the ball so far, and look how much I've got. This is going to be great. So here's another gift for someone, and it's very quick to work up, you know, the bigger hook and the looser stitches. Do you have any patterns like that? Do you have a pattern that you've tried with thicker yarn or thinner yarn just to see what would happen? I'd love to hear about it. I love the versatility of it. So that's something I've finished and started and will finish again. Another cowl, infinity scarf. I have a tip for you, today's crochet tip, and it has to do with another whip. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know the day I succumbed to the Mist Kingfisher shawl by those two brilliant ladies of the Crochet Project, Joanne Scrace and Kat Golden. Their patterns are incredible. And this is the Mist Kingfisher, the start of the Mist Kingfisher. And I had bought this yarn from Eden Cottage Yarns at Yarndale this past autumn. Look at those colors. It's a rosy pink and like a rosy brown. And I thought, I know what to do with those. And I got started with it. I kept trying to finish every other whip first. Honestly, I was trying. And they just kept sitting there going, oh, we're pretty, hook me up. And so finally I just succumbed and I thought I gotta get started. So I did, and I am not sad that I did, because look how pretty that is. So the Mist Kingfisher will probably take me a little while because I'm doing it at the same time as a couple other things. But the tip I have to share with you today, when you're working on something like this, or any crochet project, has some repetitive rows or different sections that are similar but not completely different. I don't know about you, but I've been working on things and I'm looking at a row instruction, I start hooking, I look up, I look back, and I go to the next row, but I've skipped 3 lines down without realizing it because it all looks the same, and it's only after I start crocheting do I realize I'm in the wrong spot. So what you need to do, along with all your crochet kit, your hooks, your stitch markers, your scissors, your yarn, have some post-it notes. They could be little ones or big ones. Take a post-it note and cover up what you haven't done, because if you can't see it, you won't do it. And then as you move to the next section, move the post-it note down because it sticks again and again. And then you'll never make the mistake that I did. That's your tip of the day. I wish I could say that these tips are given to you from my own cleverness, my own genius, but in fact they're all done from my own stupid mistakes. So hopefully my wisdom through my errors will help you prevent the similar type of mistake. I want to show you this actually. Now that I've taken my scarf off. This is a crochet hook, shiny pink crochet hook necklace from Lana Boo. Details below. I treated myself to this, I think last week or the week before. I just love it. Who can resist a shiny pink crochet hook necklace? Now let's talk about what's in the hoop. Last weekend I taught a beginner's embroidery workshop nearby, and being February I thought we would have some love hearts. So this is a vintage linen sheet, and these are all, most of them, beginner embroidery stitches. But rather than just do a chain stitch in a row or do a stem stitch in a row and just that's it, I always like to make something useful or something pretty that they could do something with afterwards. So here we have a stem stitch going in a heart shape for the outline. It's a bit stretched out. We have some lazy daisy stitches for leaves and for flower buds. We have some French knots here and there. I just think it's more fun to learn that way. They all enjoyed it. And this week I'm teaching another one, and again I thought I'd go with a heart. This time I'm using a linen bag that I have, and I'm doing the same thing, a heart. This is a bit more advanced, so this is a group who I've already taught some stitches to, so we're going to add on with the woven wheel roses. We're going to do some satin stitch leaves. There's some lavender with lazy daisy stitches, some more French knots, some little tiny violet with some satin stitch. I'm still working on it, obviously. I better hurry up and finish that. It's hard to see in this light with the shining through. I'll show you it when I'm all finished with it. But in any case, that's that. That's some embroidery. So here's my tip with embroidery. These hearts. You can have a pattern, you can trace it, you can look with a light box or on a window with the light shining behind it and trace, but for simple shapes like hearts and things, I use cookie cutters. I just think they're very easy, they're very handy. There's a big pink plastic one, and that's what I use for the large heart. And I've used the same thing with circles and squares and all sorts of shapes of cookie cutters. It just makes for an easier and faster way to trace your shape onto your fabric. I'll share more embroidery with you as the weeks progress, and if anyone's interested in specific stitches or any questions, please feel free to ask as well in the comments below. So now what's happening at home? Well, this week's purchase, not like I purchase things every week, but this week I found exactly what I was looking for the wall of my craft room here, this wire rack, because I want to display my yarn. The yarn is so beautiful, the artisan yarn you buy, and I just think rather than leaving it in a basket or in a bag or something until I figure out what I want to do with it, it's a work of art. Here we have Yantan Tethera yarns, here and Eden Cottage yarns in a beautiful green. I just think they're so beautiful. I'm going to display them. And given that the rack came with 24 lovely hooks, I think that can justify a couple more purchases, don't you? This coming weekend is Unravel at the Farnham Maltings, and I'm going. It's not too far from where I live, so I'm going to go along with some friends, going to meet some friends there. Are you going to be there? If so, let me know. You can meet up with people. So that's all from me today. Next time, I'm going to talk about craft clubs. This week, my crochet club meets up for its monthly meeting, and we always have a great time, but a lot of people through Instagram or emails ask me how I organize a club, how I start one, and I thought this would be something that a lot of people should be doing, and so I thought if I show you how I do it, then it'll inspire you to start your own craft group. So next time I'll give you some tips on how to get a craft group going, including recipes. Cake and cookies are always a requirement. So until then, thanks very much for visiting, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye!